So we're going to talk about part 2 today. So we know that the scripture says, for we walk by faith and not by sight. Now I'm going to teach about, the differences between, different versions. But in this case, I do like the King James Version. The NIV says, for we live by faith and not by sight. When we look at the word walk, that's action, so faith is an action verb. Action, the fact or process of doing something, typically to achieve and aim at a thing done or an act. So we were talking about, about for we walk by faith and not by sight. But understand there are some things that we're going to see. So what do we do? Okay. So if you can read the passage between James 2 verses 14 through 26, we'll show you, but I'm just giving you a little snippet of it and break it down. So it says, what does it profit a man? This is verse 14. What does it profit a man that he has faith and does not have works? So verse 15 and 16 talks about, a brother or sister being naked or them needing food. And then somebody say, well, go in peace and be filled. You know what I'm saying? Like a homeless person. So they definitely need some food or some clothes or something like that. So that's what they're talking about. You just say, well, listen, go and be filled. No, they need food. That's an action verb. Verse 17. So it says, even so faith, if it has not works, it is dead, being alone. Verse 18. Yeah, a man may say, thou hast faith and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show you my faith by my works. Verse 20. Faith without works is dead. Verse 21. So he talked about when, Abraham did a sacrifice, So that was a part of his faith because, God had always got a ram in the bush. Verse 22, it says, by your works was faith made perfect. Verse 26, for as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. So say this, the church be like, say this again, my faith needs my help. So we're going to say it again. Say it. My faith needs my help. What is faith? Complete trust or confidence in someone or something, or a strong belief in God based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. Because sometimes in life, we're going to see some things, and it just happens that you're going to see it and you're like, okay, well, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? Well, you have to help your faith. Hebrews 11:6, but without faith, it's impossible to please him. For he comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So God is going to reward us for diligently seeking him. That's what we have to do. Jeremiah 17:7. Blessed is the man that trusts in the Lord and whose hope the Lord is. So our hope is God. Verse 8. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters that spreads out its roots by the river, and shall not fear when the heat comes, but its leaf shall be green, and shall not be anxious in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. So that's why we have to continue producing or anything like that. Go sit down and have fun. I'm doing a video. Go sit down. So that's what we have to do. That's why you can ask yourself why everything is hitting you, but you always smiling. Think about it. Because the fruit is still producing. So that's what's happening. So that's all you got to do. That's why some people, they be like, you know what? It's hurting, but I'm always smiling. That's because it's producing. So that's why you have to be connected, and your roots have to run deep in God. So when the heat comes, it says that you'll be okay. Hebrews 12:2, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. So God is the author and finisher of our faith. So he's going to help us with our faith. Psalms 25:3. No one who hopes in you will ever be put to shame, but shame will come on those who are treacherous without cause. So put this down. So that's where we at. So what God is saying is that today's message, which I told you what it was, but part 2, it's time to renew your prescription. So as you know, these are my glasses and things like that. So a prescription for my glasses, supposed to get a new prescription every 2 years. And so sometimes in life, you know what I'm saying, we need to get a new prescription from God. Okay, God, help me to see how you want me to see. You know what I'm saying? It talks about, you know, babies getting, you know, milk. It talks about us as Christians, you know, we are supposed to, you know, it's time to eat solid food. So we got to ask God, update my prescription on my eyes. You know, yeah, there's some people may have 20/20 vision, but we talking about the spiritual. So today, ask God to update your prescription, because there are some things that you're going to see, and you're going to have to say, you know what? I'm not looking at that, because I know Romans 8:28 says all things work together for good for those who are called according to His purpose, for those that love God. So it's all going to work out to my good. You know, Proverbs tells me not to trust in not to trust in my own understanding, not to lean on my own understanding and everything like that. So that's all you got to do, because God wants to update our prescription. And I tell people all the time, anytime, just like cell phones, anytime our phones need to run more efficient, there's always an update. So ask God to update your spiritual eyes so you can see, because you can see some things without even seeing it. So I'll give you an example. I remember when God told me to go back to college. I was actually, I was working at Macy's, and I was debating on going back, but I was leaning more towards going, you know what I'm saying? And so this little Italian guy comes in there, and he's very short, you know what I'm saying? And he comes in there, he asks for a certain amount of pants. And so I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I'll try to look for these pants. And I'm like, I can't find these, like, you know, pants are just for him. So he tells me about, you know, going back to school and everything, was talking to me and how proud of me. I'll tell him about, you know, single dad and, you know what I'm saying, trying to do what I got to do and everything like that. And so we get done talking, you know, and I'm like, sorry, sir, I couldn't find these pants, you know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, it's all right, you know, it'll be another time I'll come back and see you. So I'm like, all right, cool. So, you know what I'm saying? He starts walking away. I'm like, I know where these pants is at, right? So I go and I look, and I'm like trying to hurry up and fast, because I know you're about to walk out. So I find the pants. I run back to him. I'm like, hey, sir, I got these pants. And he like, what pants? I'm like, these pants that you just asked for. He's like, I don't remember. So then I said, sir, me and you just had a whole conversation. Like, we talked for like 15, 20 minutes. And he said, I don't remember that. And then that's what God said. That was an angel right there. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, wow, like he don't remember, but God used him. And so I end up going back to school. So now watch this. I go back to school, right? Because God told me to go back, right? I go back to school. So they tell me to, you know, I end up signing up for my, you know, my room and board, you know, and then I got my meal plan, right? So I'm in my dorm and everything. I moved in and everything, right? So I go back to class. So then I try to register for my classes. They wouldn't let me register. I'm like, what? This is crazy. So then I go to the, you know, I go to the lady that was in charge. They was like, well, you got to go see this lady or whatever like that, right? Now, mind you, I've been going for about like, what, 5 years? No, I was going for about, about 7 years. So I've been going about 7 years. So the lady is like, oh, well, you ain't getting nothing. I'm like, what are you talking about? She was like, you ain't paid a dime since such and such. And I was like, ma'am, listen, I was young then. Like, look, I'm trying to do better. You know what I'm saying? So what I'll do is I'll try to make payments or something like that. She's like, no, it ain't gonna work. You ain't did this. I said, ma'am, so I heard God, and God said, you know, and God spoke to me and gave me an idea. So I said, okay, ma'am, can I ask your boss or who's ever in charge or whatever like that, you know? And she's like, ask them what? And I said, well, listen, just tell them that I'll make a payment every week. You know, I was working the job and everything like that. And I said, I'll make a payment every week and whatever like that, you know, and I'll do that and see if that's okay. And I'll start making payments. So she like, it's not going to work. Whatever. I'll go ahead and I'll talk to him, you know what I'm saying? But it's going to be no tomorrow. So I don't know. So I go home. I get on my knees. I pray to God, you know what I'm saying? And the Bible says that God says, come boldly to the throne. You know what I'm saying? So I said, God, you brought me down here. You have to make a way. I'm not even going to pray about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, God, you have to make a way because you brought me down here. I know you wouldn't give me room and board, you know, a single room by myself, and you wouldn't let me get a meal plan for me not to get my classes taken care of. So I worship God, you know what I'm saying, spend time with him, get up, come back, and this lady says, I don't know what you did, but whatever it did, it worked. I said, glory be to God. She's like, well, you're lucky. I said, no, I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? And she said, well, listen, well, he said, yeah, you can make payments. And this is what else I'm going to do. You can't have a single room no more. You got a room with somebody, and we're going to take that money. It's going to go towards your student loan. I said, okay, cool. That's fine. God was so good. I even got a roommate that was a good dude, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't have a problem when my kids, you know, came down, you know what I'm saying? So I thank God for that, man. You just got to trust God, man. God is something else. I'm probably going to do part 3 tomorrow, but just wanted to say that. Just know that, you know what I'm saying? Ask for that prescription today, you know, that updated prescription, you know what I'm saying? So your spiritual eyes, so you can see. Love y'all. God bless.